Next, we're going to talk about how to find the vertex of a quadratic function. Specifically, we're going to look at three things. First, how are quadratic functions written in both standard and vertex form? How is the vertex identified from those two forms? And then how do we interpret that vertex in application problems? So just as a reminder, remember that y equals ax squared plus bx plus c is the standard form of a quadratic equation. If a quadratic is in that form, then we will need to find the x and y coordinates for the vertex. The x coordinate can be found by taking the opposite of b and dividing it by 2 times a. Once we know what h is, what this piece over here is saying is just plug that value back into the equation and you'll be able to get the y coordinate of the vertex. So let's give that a try. We've got f of x equals 3x squared plus x minus 2. So in this case, a is equal to 3, b is equal to 1, and c is equal to negative 2. So to find the x-coordinate of the vertex, we're going to take the opposite of b and divide it by 2 times a. So that's going to be negative 1 divided by 2 times 3. So in this case, the x-coordinate is negative 1/6. To find the y-coordinate, you can see that I've taken that negative 1/6 and I've plugged it back into the original equation. From that point, we're going to go through and just simplify what's going on. So in this step here, I've squared negative 1/6. By this step, I've simplified 3 over 36, which is 1/12, and gotten common denominators. So 1/6 is the same as 2/12, and negative 2 is the same as negative 24/12. So when we combine that, we get negative 21/12, which simplifies to negative 7/4. So the vertex is going to be negative 1/6, negative 7/4. Let's do another before I have you practice one. If we have y equals 3x squared plus 18x minus 3, and you need to find the coordinates of the vertex, the first thing you're going to do is take the opposite of b and divide it by 2a. So let's label a, b, and c. A is 3, b is 18, and in this case, c is going to be negative 3. So let's plug that in. We're going to take the opposite of b, so we've got negative 18, divided by 2 times, and a here is 3. So that will simplify down to negative 3. So the x-coordinate of the vertex is negative 3. Take that and plug it back in. So when we plug that negative 3 back in right here, we can see that when we work through that and simplify, we end up with negative 30. So the vertex is negative 3, negative 30. Sometimes an equation is given in what we call vertex form, which is nice because it makes finding the vertex fairly simple. So vertex form is f of x equals a times the quantity x minus h squared plus k, where hk is the vertex. So if we look at the examples given here, I'm going to look in the center here and at this part here. That's going to give me the h and the k. So here the vertex is at 5, 7. If it's an x minus, that makes the vertex x-coordinate have a positive answer. So in the next example, the vertex is at 8, negative 3. Now if this had been f of x equals negative 2 times the quantity x plus 5 squared plus 7, that vertex would be at negative 5, 7. Let's look at 2 more before I have you try some. So here are 2 quadratics written in vertex form. The first one has a vertex of 1, 3, and the next one has a vertex of negative 10 because of this plus sign, negative 6. The vertex of the parabola is the highest or lowest point, so that's what allows us to find a minimum or a maximum value. So the most common way that we usually have to do this is in an application problem. So let's suppose Ann Kelly owns and operates a blueberry pie business, and she hires someone to analyze her operations. The consultant tells her that her profits, P of X, from the sale of X cases of pies is given by the equation that you see here. How many cases of pies should she sell in order to maximize profit? So when we're talking about maximizing, we're talking about the vertex. This one is not in vertex form, so we're going to have to do negative b over 2a. So the opposite of b in this case is negative 120. Divide that by 2. A in this case is negative 1. And when we simplify that, that gives us 60. That's the x-coordinate of our vertex. The second question is about the y-coordinate. What is the maximum profit? So take that 60 and plug it back in, and that will give us the profit. When you do that, you get an answer of 3,600, which means her maximum profit is going to be $3,600. What I'd like for you to do is go ahead now and try some problems on vertex.